All right, we're going to call to order the January meeting of the St. John's Neighborhood Association here at 7:05 p.m. Welcome to everybody in the room. Welcome to everybody on Zoom. We appreciate you coming out this evening. We've got a packed agenda. We have a lot of guest speakers. So we're going to try and move quickly through the sort of housekeeping here at the beginning. And really, we start off with the most fun stuff of all, which is approving the meeting minutes from our last meeting. I know Paul's excited. So one thing I want to get right off the bat and real quick, what does it mean to be a member? Who can vote on this? It's very simple. You live, you work in St. John's, you own a business, you are part of a nonprofit that does a lot of your work here. You are a general member of the neighborhood association and you can vote at this meeting if you are here. There is no requirement of having attended a certain amount of meetings or most recent meetings. So you are an active member and you can participate in this next step. So we will briefly take a look at the December meeting minutes, make sure that everything looks all right with them. We will look to approve those, and then we'll get into our sort of main programming here. So hopefully it just takes a couple of minutes and we can move on. And then we've got a great agenda with speakers about the St. John's Library Renovation Expansion Project. We have our friend Donna Cohen with another emergency route update. The boosters, St. John's Boosters, St. John's Center for Opportunity, St. John's Food Share, and Frog Ferry are all here also to give some quick updates. So we're going to be trying to move along nice and quick. So with that, we're going to bring the December meeting minutes up. I'll drop the link into the chat as well. Or are you able to potentially do that? Do you have it up or
for the
for December? No, that's fine.
I don't, sorry.
So sorry to turn my back on Zoom. Nothing personal. There we go. Here are those there. And for everybody in the room, we're going to get them up on the screen and as big a font as possible. And just take a gander. Make sure. Great. Okay. Yeah, that's big enough font, right? So we're going to slowly scroll through. Please give a shout out on Zoom in the chat. If you could drop it in, Patrick's monitoring that. And in the room, raise your hand, give a call out. We're just looking to make sure we have everything down correctly for the record here. It's real unbroken stuff. Kind of like the beginning of Star Wars, but it's meeting minutes.
Okay. Over there.
Yeah.
Jessica, you want to say something?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Jessica, what is your last name? Fletcher? Thank you. Okay.
What are they doing? Oh,
Hey there.
yes, that would have.
Yeah.
Can someone play the Star Wars music, please?
Here we go.
So we had Mike and David from PBOT here. It was a brief update on the community forum from 12/7 that the mayor's office hosted. We shouted out the subcommittees of outreach and the safety and livability team. And then Mike and David from PBOT gave an update on North Portland in Motion, the Greenway project, and also emphasis down there, Willamette. You may have seen, you've probably gotten a mailer about the final open house for North Portland in Motion. I hope everybody has participated or plans to. Questions down in here? Anything in the chat around updates?
They were just saying they can't see because it's not sharing your screen, but.
The link should be in the chat to
Oh,
bring,
yeah,
bring it up.
the link is in the chat there.
Yeah.
if you need it.
Anybody on Zoom, that if that link doesn't work, let us know, but in the chat, you should be able to get into the minutes from December. All right. We got our community corner, mentioned our survey, which we'll bring up again today. We're doing great progress on that in terms of getting responses. Talked about the safety, the traffic pattern around James John here. Donna mentioned the emergency route. We got a little update there. There's another one coming today. Oh yeah, and she said it was a really good survey. Fabulous job. Shout out to Kim, who is stuck on a plane right now and unable to be here. This is really enthralling stuff, I know. And I know this is, I'll put the dollar sign here. This is the new projector Paul mentioned in the notes here, so. Does it look like 34,000 lumens? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
33.
30, yeah, okay, I'm glad. 3,400. Oh, so this needs to be updated, because we say 34,000 in here. See how many lumens this thing got?
So maybe it's that, maybe it does. It's a lot.
All right.
Donna in the chat is just asking if you can unblur your background to see the screen. I don't know.
If you would just uncheck where it says blur the background, we could actually see the screen behind you. Under video, the video icon, the bottom of the screen.
The difficulty is being shared.
A little easier said than done on the setup we're at right now. Okay, there we go.
Now, I better get that back. All right. Are there any last updates for anybody in Zoom or anybody in the room? Great.
Not seeing any in the chat.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the December general meeting?
I move to
I
approve.
vote to approve.
Ooh. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There we go. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do it. We're basically, if anybody objects, raise your hand on Zoom or in the room. Otherwise, we'll pass it unanimously. I appreciate your dedication to getting away from these meeting minutes as quickly as possible. All right, they are approved. Thanks, folks. That's the fun part. The rest of the meeting from here is the boring stuff. All right. Thanks for bearing with us on that. So I realized I didn't even introduce myself at the start. My name is RJ. I'm the chair of the Neighborhood Association here. Before we get going, just a couple of updates from our end of upcoming stuff from us, and then we'll have our guest speakers from the St. John's Library Renovation and Expansion Project. So we mentioned during reading through the meeting minutes of our outreach and safety and livability teams, of ways to get involved for general members, put a little time in, examples of stuff there, the survey project that we have ongoing, and getting the word out on that, and also just getting the word out in general around our meetings and events that we'll be doing to reach as far into the community as possible. And one of those events that we have coming up that is through our safety and livability team is an upcoming solve litter cleanup that we plan to host a little bit later on in January. And Ryan is the chair of our safety and livability team. Do you want to take 60 seconds to just quickly talk about what we have coming up in a couple of weeks, Ryan?
Yeah, of course. And I apologize for not being on camera. I am under the weather right now and look very haggard. And so, but on the 20th of January, we are going to be doing a solve cleanup. We are looking to meet up around the kind of like on the Fessenden area, hoping to focus on cleaning up kind of the 5 Points location. There's just a lot of trash over there. The exact meetup spot is yet to be determined. We're hoping to get a business to let us use their dumpster for us to dispose of all of the trash that we pick up. But yeah, so if you are interested in joining that, we will post once we have a definitive space. We'll post it on our social media and on our website. But if you would like to sign up before then or just express interest, please email me. I will put my email address in the chat, or you can also email RJ or the just general neighborhood association email, and we will send you the information. But it would be awesome if y'all could come out and help us kind of clean up the 5 Points area. So it would be awesome.
Thanks, Ryan. And yeah, the easy email to remember is just info@stjohnspdx.org. Reach out there. We'll also, if you're on our newsletter list, we'll send out an email with the exact details once that's 100% locked in. But that should be in just a couple of weeks on Saturday, the 20th, I believe.
Yep.
The 20th is a Saturday. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And we hope to see you there. So with that, we're going to move right into welcoming our guest speakers for the evening here from the St. John's Library Renovation and Expansion Project to go through that. So if y'all could come on up. Yeah. And we'll have you take my seat so that they can see you on there, unless we, or
I don't know if it'll
just take the microphone.
Yeah, the mic might work. It might pick it up over here. Not if people on Zoom when they start presenting, let us know if you can hear or not, and we can adjust. Yep, I think we're good. We got it there for in person, and you're looking good on online.
Yeah. There you
I
go.
love them. Do you want to spare? No, whatever you like. I can change the. That sounds great. Hey, everyone. It's so nice to be here. I'm Katie Odell from Multnomah County Library. And I'm here with.
Jean Lund for architecture and interiors, and we also continue with conversions architecture as well. Amy and Joe are here today as well.
So we came to update you on what we've been doing really for our bond renovation, and specifically with the St. John's Library expansion and renovation. I first want to ask, how many of you have a library card? Oh, I like this room already. I bet that means you have a high expectations of us too, which is very good. So let's kind of get into our presentation tonight. You may know already some of this, but just if you don't, Multnomah County Library is the 4th busiest library. Sometimes we've been number 1, we've been number 2. Currently, we're number 4. This is a reading community, a reading county. People check out a lot of materials here. We rank though 104th in square footage. It's unbelievable how busy and tiny our libraries are. If you've lived in other communities, you may have noticed this. Really, we are successful despite the space, and a lot of creativity has come despite our spaces of total square footage. That was one of the main motivations when we looked at creating the 2020 bond. for our whole county. Now, some of this information you can really find in the Framework for Future Library Spaces. That is the document you see up on the slide that's available on our website. It was a study we did in 2016 to 17 that looked county-wide at our space, both from an equitable standpoint. Where is the square footage in our county? Where is the population in our county? Where has it moved over the years? We did find out, notice that while 40% of the county lives east of 205, only 24% of our square footage was east of 205. We wanted to do some reckoning for that. We also knew we had some pretty old buildings, though luckily no deferred maintenance. This was happening at the same time when PPS was doing quite a reckoning with their deferred maintenance. And so that was a lot of what we wanted to also reckon with. And we have some beautiful classic gems of a building. If you don't upkeep your gems, you end up with, So we knew what we had cut out for us is quite a bit of expansion, but also we have to be able to manage with our ongoing budget, capital bonds, of course, build capital, but our ongoing operating budget comes from our library district, and that is a set budget that we run to. Let's go to the next slide. So this gives you a really overview, and I'll say all of this information is on our website as well. It's a lot to see, but it gives you a sense of what we've been doing in this bond. This bond touches every single library in the system. We wanted everyone, since it's the first bond we've had in 20 years, we really wanted to make sure everyone got a touch. So we're showing here all of our major projects. We have 9 major projects in which we're doing significant renovation or brand new buildings. And then what we're calling a refresh, which you're getting new carpet, new paint, and we're doing some different renovations that will help us with security and safety measures. And then everyone gets really fast internet too, which is something we've wanted for quite a while. Those major projects, Holgate and Midland, we're first out the gate. Holgate's going to open late spring, early summer. So I hope you all get out there. That's going to give you a real feel for what a fresh modern library is going to look like. Same with Midland. Gregory Heights just reopened. That's our first refresh. If you ever get a chance to stop there out up Sandy Boulevard. And then Central Library is looking like it's probably going to reopen in in February. Would never say early or late. We don't know with construction and how that goes. But we're excited because we've been talking a lot, working really hard, and now buildings are opening, and we're excited for the public to see what we're talking about. Of course, we're talking about a refreshed collection.
Library capital bond.
Sorry,
Oh,
if you can
that's
just
all right.
mute everybody, thank you.
I talk a lot and I talk fast. I'll try to slow down a bit too. So we are getting refreshed collections, of course, in our spaces, which we're really excited about. Really 1.4 million items in our collection across all of our spaces. But in addition to that, just more space in general, more space for people and for people to do things in our spaces because they do a lot of different things. Here's some examples just of very fresh modern public libraries in the United States and across different countries as well. So you can see there's a lot of space for people. They're learning things, they're sharing things, they're interacting with each other, and they're also choosing the kind of space they want to be in. Our libraries up until now had maybe like 2 or 3 kinds of chairs to choose from total. 1 or 2 kinds of tables to choose from in total. If you went to our downtown children's library and you wanted to move a chair, that chair weighed about 65 pounds. It was gorgeous. But try being a 5-year-old and try to move that chair. It was tough. So really trying to freshen, modernize, still be classical, beautiful, but also a bit more modern in a way that people can use our spaces. We're no longer trying to really be the guardians of these wonderful books, but really the guides and the helpers to what is truly the citizens are the people of our county and their spaces. So let's talk a little bit about St. John's. That was a lot of info. There's so much more on the website to get to, but to talk a little bit about the St. John's Library. I hope, well, if you all have library cards, you know you've been. I was just, thank you. You just opened this up for me to say St. John's is a classic Carnegie Library. Now, why this is so special is that Andrew Carnegie, one of the best library supporters of all time, really maybe one of the most truly important of our modern American history, donated libraries across the United States, traveling all around. Once you start to look, you're going to see them all over, whether they're still libraries or not. There are these beautiful buildings. We still have North Portland is also a classic Carnegie building, as is St. John's. Sometimes people think Belmont is. It's not. It just looks kind of cute and like it. And it's gorgeous inside. You know, there's beautiful bones in our St. John's Library. There's no way we're going to tear this baby down, but we are going to update it. We want to keep it this gem that it is. And where we can, in this very tiny lot, expand in the back a modern addition. We want to make it a bit more comfortable, a place for our staff to work. Right now, our staff are on top of each other in their backspace. And we also want to make it as efficient as possible. So staff are doing less repetitive motion and also having more time to work with the public. But what makes St. John's really unique and special is the unique relationship our staff have always had with St. John's. So St. John's programming has always been very popular when it comes to children, when it comes to the arts, and when it comes to music. And so sometimes when you see pictures, when we describe what a packed library is, you'll see images of 125 children and caregivers packed into the main floor of St. John's Library trying to watch a juggler because there's just nowhere else, but it's summer reading and there's hundreds of kids out of school and they're trying to figure, they all want to have a free, fun, safe activity to do. And we have a teeny tiny program room. So we're looking for more space for people to come and be, and also a place for them to be where they don't have to buy anything. We want to have places where the community can come with no expectation of spending any money. We have some expectations of behavior so that everyone can coexist together. And if they can do that, they're welcome to come every day and stay as long as they want. So we're working on ways to make this library work for as many folks as possible, including staff, using some new ways of designing libraries and designing less tall shelving where people might be doing some things they might not should do with, whether it's in bathrooms or behind very tall stacks, being able for staff to see across the space and make eye contact with another staff person, but also creating more space for that programming element, whether it's community members sharing with other community members, whether community members are booking that space to do their own thing. We'll never have enough staff to book programs all the time. We want the community to be able to book them as well. So that's where we really wanted to come together and work with the community, work with our staff and understand how do we make the most of what we have, because we've got this gorgeous library, we've got the bond and the funding to make this a better amenity for St. John's. And I think from there, Jeannie, I'll turn it over to you to talk about the architecture of this.
Thanks, Katie. Can everybody hear you? Should work.
Yeah, for Zoom, can you guys hear?
Okay. So, Katie, thanks for the overview. I'm going to share a little more specifics about what we're doing and what we're planning. So the St. John's Library, as Katie said, we're renovating the existing department. So that's about over 4,000 square feet. There's an addition in the back of the building that you guys never really go to, the public doesn't go to. It's where the staff space is in the back there. And so it's too small. And so what we intend to do is remove that 1999 addition in the back and build a new and bigger one. So the new one will be about 3,000 square feet. We are kind of in the middle of our design process right now. So at the end of the year, we are kind of fine tuning. So we have some ideas that we've been working on to share with you all. On top of that, before I do that, I wanted to share, we have a big part of what the library wants to do in our practice is really engaging the community as part of the design process. So we've been going to outreach events, George Park, different other events throughout the summer. And then we are doing an open house on the 20th and 21st. So Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be there midday. We have flyers that Amy's going to help hand out. You can take a copy of that so you can remember, but we would love for all of you to show up and we'll share a little bit more then. But we're hosting design workshops. And then on top of that, we are a unique way of engaging with the community is what we call community design advocates. We have hired 5 community members of St. John's to help us reach broader, especially communities of color that we're not personally engaged in right now. So they're all working and sharing design updates and information with the broader community here. So one of the things that frames the work is, as Katie mentioned, thinking about spaces not only for books, the books will always be there, the collection is great and will always be that for St. John's, but also working on the people space, like the activity space for, story time or places to sit, there's not a ton of that right now in St. John's. So that's been something we've been trying to think about the ratio between all of them and as we plan for a new, bigger St. John's. We also, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, other than to say that sustainability is at the top of our minds for the bond. So we are looking at, creating great daylight, carbon impact of these public buildings, and healthy materials as well. So getting into more of what we're actually doing to the building. So one of the things that we realized as we walked into the St. John's Library is that it's a beautiful space with this open room. But something that could be improved, we thought, was really the view in the center of the building. You can kind of see there's a lot of stacks that are pretty tall. And so it kind of blocks the view. And what we would like to do is add the addition and actually move the children's to the back into the new addition, and then opening up that center into open seating so that it welcomes the community in and you can see through right into the new children's area. So this idea really is about connecting the old and the new so it feels like a holistic new space, and it's not like this is the new and this is the old, but they really work together. This is a diagram that might be a little hard to understand. Again, if you come to the open house, we can explain it in more detail, but this is kind of a view of the design. So basically this is the front entrance, this is the front door of the library, that's the vestibule. And what we're talking about is cleaning up this area in the front, moving the stacks to the sides, and allowing lots of seating in this area, and then adding this addition in the back. This is the whole addition in the back. We have the children's at the center, like I mentioned, so that, story times, people can be back there and other people can still read or work on the computer without being, overwhelmed by the story time. And then we're adding a bigger flexible meeting room in the back. So you guys know the middle one, it's about twice as big as the current one that's there. So that will allow for greater programming, story time could happen there, different activities for the community can happen there, and programming as well. And then the area over here by the parking lot is actually going to be a staff workroom, and there's going to be a new sorting machine that this library is going to get, which is going to help the staff a lot and free up their time to help with patrons and answer questions and help you all look up different things instead of stacking books, right? Because most of the time they are checking in every book, literally checking in every book and then having to put it back on the shelf. So that's going to help that workflow a little bit. So that's going to be what's in the back here. And the intent is really to keep the character of the existing building the way it is and improve it. The other big part of our project is actually renovating the existing building to be seismically upgrade to current code. So it will be a safer building. The code changes for seismic, every now and then, and this project hasn't been touched since, I don't know, the 80s or something. So it needs to be upgraded in order to be the safe place, public space that it should be for the community. So that's going to be the work. And then this is the site plan. Some of the site will stay as is. We're gonna improve the stair, the stair in the front needs a little love, so that will get will be done. And then we are looking at, what is a big change is that actually the book drop, which is currently in the front of the building, is actually going to be in the back, because what we want is for people to return books right into this machinery that we're adding to this building. And so there's an induction point, that's the book drop that you see here, right into that staff workroom. So that's going to be in the back area, a little bit just helping everybody train and to know that that's back there instead of the front. Will be something. And then we're going to improve the parking lot. The parking lot grades are actually not as good as it should be. So we need to work on that. That's kind of the gray zone. We're losing one parking spot because city has some requirements for having landscaping in parking lots that this one doesn't currently have. So you'll see a couple more trees there, but otherwise pretty much the same. We'll also be adding EV parking charging stations there as well as part of improvement. And then here's just a floor plan. If people are used to looking at a more straightforward floor plan, I'm not going to walk through it again since I already did. But yeah, children's in the back here, staff in the lower by the parking lot, and then a new bigger flex rooms in addition. And then the main room remains the same, just the way it is. There will be computers, stacks. We're adding a teen space. It's not going to be enclosed, but it's going to be like the teen nook or corner. So teens feel like they have a space to go to. And then where the current flex area room is, we're going to actually divide it up. We've been hearing from the community and different staff as well that there's real need for smaller flexible spaces for people to study or take a Zoom call if they're working from home, and or just need a kind of a private space like that. So we'll have technology that people can use as well. So that's going to be in that area the existing meeting room is, and then the restrooms will be upgraded, but will remain kind of the same location. In terms of exterior, that's kind of what we're getting into right now, design process-wise. We love the unique neighborhood that St. John's is, and in the context of the building. You notice there's actually a building with lots of character, and we want to maintain that. And even on the addition, it will be in the back. They're not going to see, it's not big that prominent necessarily, but we want to make it beautiful and unique. And so we've been building on ideas around the palette of the St. John's Bridge and kind of warm tones around it, the interior and the exterior. And then on the exterior, this is a very early rendering. It's in progress. But this is an idea about a covered area where you're returning books. And then windows for the staff so they can have great daylight in their workroom as well. And a simple building that doesn't compete, but is different than the Carnegie Library. We don't want to, mimic it. And we don't, but we want to respect it for sure. So that's kind of the intent. We're not quite ready for, we don't know exactly what materials there is yet. So we're showing a black and white image here, but obviously it won't be just black and white, and it's not going to be white per se as well. So that's kind of what, one more, which is an early sketch of that idea that I talked about, walking through, seeing people sitting there, reading, talking to each other, and then the children's in the back area here with the big window in the back. So when you walk in, you see right through and you see green at the end of that and daylight. That's what we're hoping for and planning for. I think that's my last slide.
Yep. I thought of a couple things just to emphasize, and I thought of Ryan, who's on the call, who's organizing the solve cleanup. Sounds like, hey, leave the solve cleanup and come and check us out on Saturday the 20th. I want to emphasize that the open house on the 20th and the 21st, we'll be giving away she's like, gift books. We have gift books for all youth of all ages that are selected by our expert book selectors that are bilingual and bicultural. So we'll have wonderful gift books for all youth who are coming. And even if youth aren't there, you can grab one for kids in your life as well. So we really would love a great turnout. And there's a lot of time to have conversation there, more so than, you know, at a public meeting when we're presenting. So we'd love as much turnout as possible that weekend, because we're really looking for like a lot of conversation and feedback. And then the staff at that location too have been working really closely with us in design meetings. And so they're really coming along on this project too. And so when you're stopping in and chatting with staff, they'd really like to hear your perspective as well on how the design's coming along.
Oh.
What kind of stuff you should have and whatever, so it is a historical part of the library. So how do we get away with Portland with removing something which is fundamentally historical?
Can you repeat the question for Zoom? Sorry, they can't hear. Yeah.
So the question was, the interior of the library, we talked about removing the stacks in the middle of the library and how that aligns with the overall Carnegie historic sort of design. So to respond to that, we actually dug up Joe and Conversions. We looked at the historic plans, and that actually wasn't the way that it was built or designed. So that center area did not have all the stacks that currently is there. That was, I don't know exactly when that was changed, but that came later. So I know there's questions, we have 10 minutes. So I was gonna, before that question, I was gonna add that at the open house, we have some design activities. We've got collages we would like people to make. So there's some fun things to do. So please stop by.
Cool. I can go ahead and read. There's a few in the chat here that will go down, and then let's do 2 in Zoom, and then if there's any here, we can just try and share it around. So first question is from Caroline. Main question is, oops, will St. John's Library have to close, and if so, for how long?
Oh, yes, it definitely has to close. And I know it's such a bummer, like all of our big major projects have to close because you just can't renovate it without it closing. But when it's closing and for how long, it's not at the top of my mind. Do you remember, Jeannie?
I think it will be somewhere in the fall of starting later this year and then into 2025. So the plan is for the library to open late 2025 and potentially 2026. So we're still working on those dates to be exact.
What I can add to that is what the library has done with other, we're learning through all this, right? Because like we've just been doing this for about 2 years now. When a library closes, we've been reassigning staff to other libraries because we just have surge service at other libraries. So I assume, I'm not in charge of this, but that Kenton will get a lot more business during this time. And so I assume a lot of the staff will get reassigned to Kenton because a lot of holds and programming will get moved over to there in the interim.
Other institutions, they've done pop-ups, and that's really driven by the community. Just based on St. John's being slightly isolated from other libraries. I mean, Kenton is quite far away. That if you have to pay for that space, they'll listen to you. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity in the storefront because St. John's would be really good. So also think about that so that you can keep that as a icon of our community as it's closed.
Yeah, for people on Zoom, the comment was just about advocating for community pop-up events while the library is closed in the community with local businesses and organizations. One more from Zoom, and then we'll get back to the room. The next question is from Donna. What will the capacity of the new main meeting room be?
Different seating will need to be planned out, but it's twice as big as the current room, which I think is somewhere in the 20 with tables and things like that. So we're talking about 40 people for a meeting with tables and more for just chairs and stuff like that. So I think we're looking at maybe 40 to 50 as sort of general capacity.
40, 50. Questions in the room now? Anybody? Yes.
I was a little confused about the pop-up. Was that for events, or can you move actually some of the books? We have so many empty buildings in St. John's area. It would be great if we could kind of have a temporary library that wouldn't necessarily have everything.
No.
I don't know if there's money for that or inclination to do that, but it would be wonderful.
Yeah, for Zoom, the question was, is there any way for the ability to move books for the separate pop-up? I don't know who wants to answer that. Oh.
We can share that back with the library, I think, because we're on the capital bond team. That isn't a part of our work, but we can share that request back with the library.
Is there money for that?
Within our capital bond, that's not part of the capital bond, but that's because that goes to building projects, so we can share that back with the library.
Cool. One more in the room? We can get back to Zoom. Yes. The question is, are there plans for outdoor seating or engagements outdoors?
Not at the moment. We are gonna do a little bit of that as we improve some of the site, but no big new outdoor area in the plans. And as we work further and understand our budget a little bit more, that'll be top of our mind about, you know, being able to add more for the community. So yeah, we hope to, but no promises.
Back to Zoom here real quick. So we have Paul Lefebvre says, do you have a schedule timelines for the great looking upgrade?
I mentioned that earlier. It will be the end of 2025 for the full opening. Early 2026. We'll hear exactly as we move further along. But we're not quite sure the construction schedule quite yet.
Perfect. That's it for Zoom. So in the room. Oh, yes. Sorry, I couldn't see it. So for Zoom, the question is bike parking or biking town parking at this facility.
There is bike parking currently, but we'll be adding to that. We're following city code on the, you know, the amounts of bike parking, so that will be there'll be more than we currently have right now at the St. John's Library. And then, but they're not covered. They'll be kind of in the general location that they're at right now for the public. It's on the parking lot side, kind of where the ramp. You go, it's right there. Yeah, we'll be, there's the dumpsters there as well, and lots of landscaping, so it's a little bit hard to see, and maybe they're not feel the most safe, but we're gonna improve that for sure. Do you mean like a rental bike thing? We have not actually talked about that, but that's something that Katie and our team can look into. Yeah, I don't know the scenario on all of St. John's and what that is.
Do you know anybody? Like
That would be a collaboration type thing with MCL to get into.
I think the closest, like, you know, education and real properties. But it'd be nice to have more like super like, and I think it into that. We really want to have some artists because.
The plan you have of putting the return of the book in the back of the building, that's hell, because people will be driving back there. They will be driving, leave their car on and go and turn the book, and the engine's on. So now they'll drive and leave the engine on.
I think what Jeannie didn't mention is that there still is a book return at when you can walk right into the building and you can still return your books at the front. But there is a side return, which honestly we do prefer, especially if you're on your feet, because it helps us. But there is still a book return when you walk into the library. So there are still two options.
So the one that's there now will still be there.
Yes. Yeah, apologies for that. Yeah, they'll still be there when the library's open, but once it's closed, that the back one will be the one. Yeah, yes. And then the Bike Town thing, I think that would be something we'll look into. I think it's interesting. It would be a partnership, you know, obviously.
Cool. RJ, yeah, time wise?
Yeah, I have one question,
Oh.
or we have maybe 1 or 2 more minutes, but Brendan, you have a question?
Oh,
It's a 20-year.
20.
January 20th, January 21st, both days, 12 to 2.
And I have 50 copies of flyer. Please take them. If you are a business owner, please put them in your window. And later on this week, I will be walking around the store kind of putting them in windows as well.
yeah, so just repeat for everybody, January 20th and 21st, 9 to 2. Did I hear that correctly? Is the,
12 to 2.
sorry, 12 to 2 is the open house. Yes, there we go.
You mind? Yeah. And our cleanup is 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So you could do the cleanup and then
Yes.
go right to the open.
Perfect.
There you go.
Yep.
I have one quick question and then we have to move on. This project replaces an addition added in 1999, so it had a 20 to 25 year lifespan. Do you have a lifespan expectancy for this addition, and is it made to be there for 20, 50, 100 years? What's the sort of idea behind that and making it more longevity than the current addition?
50 and above for sure. Obviously, systems need to be updated over time, but one of the things that we realize is a really tight site, so we're maximizing the site. So, you know, it's gonna have to last, and if, you know, St. John's outgrow the area, it would be a new location for the future, much bigger library if that wasn't ever a need. But we're maximizing it, so I think it's gonna be there to stay this time.
I'll just add briefly to that, in that we, part of that framework for future spaces involves, for the longevity of Multnomah County, it is reducing to eliminating leases and owning all properties. And we own St. John's, thank goodness. So we don't need to necessarily worry about St. John's, but I think of like a Kenton where we lease. And so I can personally envision a bigger, beautiful owned space that might fill in another space that would, if Kenton were to be replaced in the future, that'd be a future bond. So we're looking way out in the future. But you know, previous administrations and previous thinking when we did other bonds, it was before Google was even invented. Like, the world has changed in that time since our last bond. Our community has greatly changed in that time too, and how behavior in the library has changed as well. And so we have been really, I mean, honestly, catching up to what the modern world needs in a public library. So there's like the life of the building, and then there's also like what the community needs. And so it's both for St. John's for this library, but I also think of sort of greater North Portland and sort of the whole community. And so I don't know, personally, I can see another library coming up around here too, and that little bit vision to the next bond. Yeah, we'll see. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming out. Appreciate it. Yeah, libraries in the future needing the teleport room and things like that. Man, it's gonna be weird. Cool. All right, folks. We're only 3 minutes behind. We're doing wonderful this time. So we're gonna enter into our community corner part of the agenda. We're gonna take the next 20 minutes or so, maybe 25, and go through some updates. The first one, we have Donna Cohen on, who wants to give an update around the emergency route. You should be able to share your screen.
There it
and
is.
we have that up, and take it away.
Okay, so you can hear me and you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see, move that over. All right, so very quickly here, PBOT, the Freight Committee had a meeting the other day. They have one every month. And you may wonder, why are we so involved with the freight committee? And that is because our emergency routes, Columbia and Lombard, are also freight routes. So as much as, that can be a pain in the neck sometimes to have the freight in our community, it does give us some leverage because we have the freight community that also wants to make sure these routes work. So what I want to do is very quickly show you a few slides that were created by Zeph Wagner, who's a PBOT planner, and they just finished a feasibility study that included the Columbia Boulevard Bridge replacements area. So let me show you here. So this slide shows you the 4 bridges across the cut, all of which will collapse at a major quake. They're all over 100 years old. And as you probably recall, the 3 sides of the peninsula will liquefy, meaning nobody's going down to the water to take a nice little boat to get in or out of here. That will be inaccessible. And the only route we have is this direction, and we won't have a route if we don't do something about at least a couple of these bridges. And as I say, Columbia and Lombard are the ones we're focused on because they are our emergency routes. Another concern, though, is the railroad tunnel under Lombard, because that will also collapse. So in this picture, you see the bridges over on Columbia there. There are actually 3 bridges, one over Columbia Way and 2 over the railroad cut. And as you can see, one was over 100 years old. They're seismically vulnerable. They have a high risk of fracture. In fact, they're so critical that that PBOT may be restricting the weight going over these bridges in the not too distant future. The bridges here are totally owned by PBOT. That is really helpful as far as us getting something done because there's only one jurisdiction involved. Notice that he did say strong support for replacement from North Portland neighborhood groups. It is really important that at the appropriate times, we express our concern and our interest in seeing these things done. What they want to do is replace with 2 bridges, one over Columbia Way, one over the cut, but it's going to be very expensive, 57 million, which includes contingency, meaning by the time we actually get to do this, it's going to cost more. The reason that it's so expensive is because they have to raise the height of the bridge. And in order to do that, they have to start some rebuilding processes way ahead and go much beyond. So the actual project is going to encompass quite a long area, and that's going to make it much more expensive. They're also going to get rid of the ramp, which I think is great because I think it's pretty dangerous there. Anyway, so this is the project. So we have the feasibility study. Now we have to get the funding. It's not going to be easy, but there will come a time where they will be applying and they will ask us to submit public comments in support. And that's what we want to be aware of. Now, Zeph also talked about the Lombard Bridge, which was nice because he didn't have to, because it's only partially PBOT's responsibility. ODOT owns the actual street and the railroad owns the bridge. And so it's a very complicated situation. We have to get everybody involved, but it's in very poor condition, as you see, likely to fail. So we need to do something. And the estimate is 37 million. And as he said, it's difficult to fund projects to replace bridges that are owned by, other agencies, and especially not a public agency like the railroad is. In the 2040 freight plan, the community really submitted a lot of comments, and we got, because of our input into the freight plan, an action item, a priority item that says we want to see a collaboration with all these agencies. So we want PBOT to work with the other agencies. And this will include the evaluation of the Lombard Bridge over the cut and the railroad tunnel. And what I said in the meeting on Thursday was what we'd like to see for this next year is a meeting set up with all these different agencies to begin this collaboration process. that this would show us that there's movement. So basically two things happening. We've got the documentation we need for Columbia, but we have to get the money. And we need to begin the process of collaboration to get Lombard done. That's going to be a longer process, but we want to see something happen to begin to move that along. If you want to stay on top of this, and I hope you do, there's two ways. We have a Facebook page and we have an email list. So if you just email NOPO emergency route at Gmail, it will get to me. Put in the subject line, emergency route or something, so that I know I get a lot of emails, so I don't want to, ignore it. Or check out the Facebook group. And by the way, there was an article in the New Yorker in 2015 that describes in detail the situation with the major quake that is going to hit the Pacific Northwest. Right now, the estimate is we have a 1 in 3 chance in the next 50 years. And this is a really good article, and I put it on the Facebook page. If you go there, you can check it out. So that's about it. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Donna. Is there anything in the chat, Patrick?
I'm not seeing anything, no.
Nothing. Anything in the room?
Okay.
The last part of the email extension.
Donna, can you pull back your screen back up again so people can see your email?
Yes, good idea. And let me say, let's see, let me go back here. Trying to previous. Okay. And let me just point out one last thing. It's really crucial that we get both Columbia and Lombard attended to, not only because they are our emergency routes and we need the redundancy, but because Columbia is on the edge of the liquefaction zone. And Peapod has told us that depending upon the weather conditions at the time of the quake, it's possible Columbia could liquefy as well. So we don't want to just rely on Columbia. We want to make sure that Columbia and Lombard get retrofitted for earthquake, for emergency route.
Fun stuff, right?
Okay.
Current, how safe we feel with the modern freight train right now.
Right.
I didn't hear that, so if that was a question, you'll have to repeat.
Yeah, no question, Donna. Just more of
Okay.
a appreciation of your presentation, but also worry as a result of your presentation.
Well, good. Well, good. We should. It's going to take years to get this done. So, the longer we wait.
Thank
So,
you for
good.
your dedication to it, Donna. We appreciate it. We do have to move on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again, Donna. So I want to get through who's already kind of voiced speaking during this, and then we can get to anybody else who wants to bring up at the time. So right now we have a moment for the boosters to provide an update. Anybody on from there? I see Rebecca, you can go ahead and give your update.
Hello. I'm just pulling up my notes. Okay, so there's not too much going on just because it's the start of the new year. A lot of our events are, later spring, summer, early fall sort of thing, because that's the best time to be out and about. But there are 2 things coming up in February. The first is St. John's Plaza has been chosen for the February Winter Lights Festival. So that runs February 2nd to the 10th, and there will be the artist has been communicating with the boosters, and it's either going to be something that she sets up and takes down each day, or that she's going to be able to rig to stay. I think it's going to be mostly up in the trees as far as the most recent communication. So we're not sure 100% if it's going to go like all night. Ideally it would, she wouldn't have to go up and down, but also we know how sometimes the plaza can be. So that'll be really, really fun. So find a way to make it to the plaza February 2nd to the 10th. And then February, we do our Valentine's for the businesses. So you'll pop into the businesses and you'll see little love notes that you can write to your favorite business. And a winner does get chosen from those entries, and also those bits of favorites get shared with those businesses as well, which is really, really fun. So, if you're out and about and you see those, feel free to jot a little thank you for your favorite coffee shop or bookstore or whatever. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is just as the ugly sweater events kind of wrapped up in December. A lot of the murals that we helped put around St. John's in the windows are going to be coming down. So just be patient with us as we get them removed. Luckily, they weren't as water soluble as necessary, so they stayed up during all the rain, but it is proving a little fun getting them off. So you might see some non-toxic scraped kind of paints and stuff. We're working on it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Any questions from anybody in Zoom or in the room?
I feel like I saw a hand go up, but I don't know if that was an accident.
Caroline had a hand up and then it went down. So Caroline, is
Okay.
there any question or are you?
Archie,
Yes,
I have a
Brittany.
question for you. Who is responsible for the time on the clock and the what?
So the clock repair has been a constant fun thing. There were a couple power outages in early December, and so it put the clock back 30 minutes, but we have our clock people coming to get it reset. So thankfully it's keeping time in that the power outage happened, it lost 30 minutes, but then it came back on and it has only been 30 minutes. So it's not we don't think that it requires a full repair, which is great news because it's much easier just to reset the clock. So that fix is coming as promised.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to move on. Real quick note. Millie says thank you, and it's fun to have the shops on Lombard and try to support them as much as they can. So thanks for the work y'all are doing.
Thanks, Nellie.
Alrighty, have a good one. Up next, we have a slot for the St. John Center for Opportunity. Anybody on there that wants to provide an update? I don't. Oh,
David's here.
Nothing really to update other than the small business grant is now open and accepting applications. So that's exciting for all the small business owners in St. John's. And then we are accepting vendor applications for the farmers market for the upcoming season. So, and that's already starting to fill up pretty fast, believe it or not.
Great. And all that information is available on your website, correct?
Yes, it's on our website and we do quite a bit of social media updates moving forward because it's just like, I don't know, there's a lot of information to put out there. So
Great. Cool. Great. Thank you. And yeah, you're.
I just want to thank you, Dave. The parking for the teachers.
There's a thank you for the parking for the James John teachers and letting them use the lot there that the farmers market's in while it's not in session.
yay. Yeah, that's I wasn't sure if that had actually started just yet, but I hope it has started.
I think it's starting soon. And so thank you for allowing for that use of it while we're waiting for the farmers market to come on back. Okay, we have the St. John's food share here. You want to come up and grab the mic? We'll hear a quick update. You fit here too, if you want, Bonnie.
Thank you. I think I'll stand.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Meltzer, and I'm a volunteer at the St. John's Food Share. How many people know what the St. John's Food Share is? Quite a few of you, but it is a free grocery store. No questions asked. We are open on Mondays and Fridays from 10 to 4 and on Wednesdays from 10 to 12. And people come and we have a little grocery store and someone takes the client around and they can pick things that they want to eat from shelves, refrigerators, and freezers. And it is quite a help to a lot of the members of St. John's, Portsmouth, Cathedral Park, and we have people coming even all the way from Kenton and sometimes from Northwest Portland too. And it is a wonderful place. It's all run by volunteers. It's part of the Oregon Food Bank. We are partners with them. And we get our food from our grocery stores. So things don't go to the landfill when they are really still good.
we have things from New Seasons, from Safeway, from Fred Meyer, and I have to, in this building right across the street, we get incredible things from the French bakery, our very own Sparrows. Well, I picked up 40 pounds of croissants today. You know, just because you're poor doesn't mean you don't want a treat every once in a while. But it does take a lot of money to run the food bank. We don't have that much trouble with food, although many people in their gardens, when they have a lot of food, they give us extra food. You probably don't have extra food in your gardens now, but sometimes people clean out their pantry. Please check the dates. And we get food from the actual Oregon Food Bank. But we do have many refrigerators, like 10, and freezers and lights and air conditioning, and we have to keep all those refrigerators at a certain temperature, and that costs money. So I am going to make an appeal to you. I have a little flyer with even a QR code that you could go and donate money to us. When we need to, we do buy food. Luckily, we haven't had to do that for quite some time. But we still have those bills. We also pay rent for that building, and we're right down the street, 2 blocks away from here. But no questions asked. And let me tell you a little bit about our clients. We have clients who are very, very, very poor. Some of the homeless come. We have people who are on Social Security. We have people who have an emergency in their lives. They've just moved, or they lost their job, or they just can't make ends meet, and we help. And we don't know who's who, what's what. We only try to be pleasant and let them have food. And people usually carry away 2 shopping bags full of food. It's not everything, but it does help people quite a bit. And then I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing on all these other things. And now I'm scared to death that the earthquake is going to come and I won't be able to get out. The tunnel is the big thing. Anyway, so I have these. I can give them out, or I can leave some on the table. What do you prefer?
Great. Yeah, if anybody wants to raise their hand and take one, or then otherwise, yeah, leave them at the table at the front. You can grab it on the way up.
And there are some fundraisers in town where you can eat food, but there aren't any fundraisers that actually give us money. And that doesn't.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you so much.
All right, the last update in the community corner here is from Frog Ferry. If you don't mind coming up real quick, and yeah, introducing yourselves and giving a 2 or 3 minute, if possible, update here. You can in front of the computer. Right here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm going to give the microphone to Soren, who's an expert on the Frog Ferry and transportation in general, and we've been working together last year to get the Frog Ferry. So I don't know if there's any update, but I guess you're going to talk about it.
Yes, thank you. Again, I'm Soren Garber. I'm a transportation planner. I've worked in this area quite a bit. I worked with Donna Cohn and many others here on the truck strategy a few years ago. And but more importantly, I'm a volunteer with the Friends of Frog Ferry, which is a nonprofit started in 2017. And we have a board of directors, nonprofit status. We're in good standing, and we're here today to tell you about grants that we're pursuing. But before that, some of you may not know about the Frog Ferry. Frog, by the way, is a Chinook tribe symbol. They actually prepare the logo for us. Ultimately, our vision is to run a passenger-only ferry, only bikes and pedestrians, no cars. About a 70-passenger ferry, low wake and electric, or we may need to start off because there aren't that many electric ferry boats, especially for our route, which is very complicated. Because as I'll tell you, we go under bridges, we've got a lot of debris in the river. But anyway, ultimately, we want to go from Vancouver, Washington on the Columbia, then get on at the Kelly Point Park, make that left down to the Willamette, stop here in Cathedral Park at the public dock right by the bridge, then go into downtown, go then to Milwaukee, Lake Oswego, and then Oregon City right by the falls. And those areas all have public docks. They do need some rehabilitation, especially for our service, but they're already existing, and we can use them rather than have to build something new and go through a complex environmental process. Let's see. The grants that we're going after are called PSEF. It's the Portland Clean Energy Fund. You may have heard about it. It's getting a lot of media attention. Essentially, Portland City Council passed a bill that if you're a retailer making over $5 billion nationally and over $100,000 locally, you need to pay a tax. I think it's about a 1% tax. Well, they've raised a lot more money than they thought they would. We're up to $1 billion right now. And it's been focused. We haven't had any big programs just yet. PSEF, they've had 2 mini grant programs, but they're starting with a big one. That's due on February 1st. We're preparing 2 applications for it right now. And they're for things like home retrofits, new energy equipment, energy efficiency equipment like heat pumps, solar panels, things like that. A lot of agricultural projects, a lot of green space projects, and they're now starting with transportation decarbonization. That's the one we're going after.
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute. Yikes. Okay. Okay. So like I said, we're preparing the report. I'm working very closely with Jennifer and Juan right here, and maybe there's some others in the audience. I apologize if I don't recognize you. But we've been working in the St. John's area for a long time. We want to get started with a proof of concept. We want to make sure this thing works. We've done a navigation study, we've done the engineering, but we want to make sure it works. So we want to run a pilot between Cathedral Park and River Place. So we have great access to a lot of different modes down there. We're also talking, because it's a little bit of a steep walk down to the river down here. We've talked with somebody who owns a number of electric minibuses who wants to provide service between Lombard downtown and the commercial district and the ferry. We're here today, and maybe Juan, this is what he may want to talk about, is that for our application, we'd love to have a letter of support from the neighborhood association to be enclosed in it. We also hope, because ultimately the city council, we could be the highest scoring grant application, but the city council ultimately makes the approval. And if you've listened to Juan and Jennifer recently, you know that the city council hasn't been exactly kind to us. So we want to stress to them how important it is to this community. So we want to have a town hall workshop press event soon after submitting the application. And we'd love to talk with you more about that. And then Jennifer herself is working on trying to find training and workforce training and mentoring opportunities. She's been in touch with Roosevelt High School. It's a big part of this application. The objectives are not only climate change, but also finding opportunities for low-income people of color, disadvantaged people, adults and youth looking for better opportunities in the world. I talked for Ron.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, questions? Yeah.
Well, we need to buy a boat, and that's really expensive. There is so much money in the federal budget now. This Infrastructure Act we went from 30 million a year to 400 million for passenger ferries. We went after it once, and we were told we're a really good candidate, but it looks like we don't have a lot of local support. City council. You may have seen that one of the council people slandered us. TriMet's been slandering us. We've been having a lot of difficulty with that. I could take a long time telling you about it. Anyway, answer to your question. We need to have a spec boat built because we have a very unique navigation channel here. We have to be low wake, and we have to be either R99 renewable diesel or electric. So that's about a 2-year process to get that done. So if we get this grant, we'll be in the process of creating those specs. We'll hope to do them in a year. So the beginning of 2026, we'd then be procuring services for somebody to build, assuming the city agrees to be a sponsor. We can't get federal money without a public agency, and the city has refused to do that so far. And this is a good time, yes.
No, it's a mystery. No one knows why.
They told Juan that, he heard that, the council heard that TriMet thinks that we don't want any more transit service in St. John's.
And also that one of the things that Commissioner Mapp said was that, he would be more willing to support it if Vancouver was interested. So that's kind of crazy because he's not the city councilor of Vancouver.
But I was part of a art show that was at that first at Cathedral Park Place. That was, and when for the opening, they had a ferry that went back and forth, and everybody was so excited. Unfortunately, my husband went. He just ended up being the helper to get people to come up, and he went all night back and forth while I worked at the art show. And he said people were so excited about it. They just loved it. We even had that's here. You know, this made it good now. Yeah, this is successful. We did great. And so they were ready to stop it. And you know,
Yeah, well, we're gonna let you know of an event that we'll prepare so everyone can come. And yeah, and I think it's gonna be really good. Like I know that the majority of people in St. John support this. It also connects very well to the earthquake because we could get out through the river. And I don't even not gonna start on the tank farms that are across the river. That's gonna be a bigger spill than the Deepwater Horizon in the Gulf of Mexico. But anyway, we gotta move on. So I'm gonna hand the microphone to RJ.
I'm really scared now.
And so you need to submit by February 1st.
Yeah, so we'd love to have a letter, not only from the St. John's Neighborhood Association, any businesses, any other associations.
So the conundrum we're in is that for a letter from the general membership, we would have to come back and vote on that at our February general meeting because there's no letter currently drafted. And that wouldn't be in time for February 1st.
Okay.
But there is the potential to have a letter of support drafted and approved by the board. So it'd be like the St. John Neighborhood Association board approves of this project. And we could complete that in time for February 1st, potentially. And so what we would do this evening is refer a vote to the membership if they would like to empower us to do that, basically, and draft and approve a letter of support from the board to Frogberry, and that will get done in time for February 1st.
Okay.
Would one after in like a later on be good to also provide? Because we could still then do a general member one after our meeting in February.
Yeah, February 1st is, we need it by February 1st, excuse me. But we can do all sorts of, they're going to be reviewing these applications up until May or June.
Mm-hmm.
So we're hoping to have events here, get the press here, get, you know, the city council looking at this project.
So we're gonna start with the board one and then update it when we have.
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying that's the answer. to
Yeah.
your question.
Okay. So do I have a motion to empower the board to write and approve a letter of support for Frog Ferry at its next meeting? Is there a second? We get a second? All those in favor, can we get some hands raised there?
What about online?
And then, yeah, we'll have that on.
Yeah,
Zoom.
people are raising their hands now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17.
Right,
Got 17 in the room.
6, 7. We got 7 on Zoom.
Simple majority, right?
Yeah.
Simple
Simple
majority will
majority.
pass it,
Yeah,
correct?
simple majority
And so I think we're at
of
20,
members.
We're at
present.
19 in there, and then
24 or something.
Yep.
And how many are in attendance, do you know?
Thinking
Hands down, hands up, hands down, hands up.
You can.
I'm gonna-
that's 34.
Oh, because you're.
We have 6. So yeah. Okay, we're past.
Great, okay, so the motion passes, thanks, folks.
34 total.
So the board will draft, and at our next meeting, approve a letter of support. And that will be in time for the application, to be submitted on February 1st. And then we can bring that letter to the next general meeting for, approval by the full membership of the neighborhood association.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming, appreciate it.
We do have Brad on that. I know that has been patiently waiting. If we just have
Great.
yeah, like a few minutes.
Yeah. We'll anything else from the community here, and then we'll try to
We'll go very quickly.
very quickly go through any forward updates. So last Brad's on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay,
think
go ahead,
we're
Brad.
Gonna unmute Brad.
You've got about 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Brad Glenn. I've been a resident in St. John's here since 2014. This is my 4th meeting, so not as often as I should have, but I'm reaching out to the board and the community with some concerns I have from Tyler Avenue with an unregistered RV that has moved to the corner of Seneca and Tyler. I work from home, and just very easily from my work desk, I'm able to see the comings and goings from this RV. And it's led to an ever increasing text thread with neighbors who have similar concerns. And I can speak that, these concerns range from anger and fear to apathy, to as in nothing's going to happen, to what can we do to address this? How can we turn the line on and try to find some ideas for a win-win situation here? I would just like to, after spending several days speaking with PBOT, numerous organizations around the city, North Portland Police Precinct, I'm just curious to hear, for this scenario that is not just happening here on Tyler Avenue, but around the neighborhood, what role does the neighborhood association play? Are there any working committees? Are there any structures within the neighborhood association that I can partner with to try to find a solution? And the solution, when I say that, means removing this RV.
Yeah, I can speak to it from a board standpoint. So this is Patrick. I know we do have safety and livability on as well, but just to be completely clear and honest, as far as to our ability to act in this situation like this is very, very minimal, if any. So I do want to just reiterate and point to there is the PDX Reporter app and 311 to be able to call. From our experience, that the more reports goes into a large citywide database, but I think too the unfortunate reality is that this isn't a uncommon scenario happening. It's happening across the entire city in every single neighborhood. So just being realistic as to when and how things like these are addressed. Yeah, I don't think we have a ton of ability from that standpoint. But yeah, sorry, did you have a comment or question?
These were strategies for the users. We have called, we can do PDX Reporter and then PEMO, which is the Portland Emergency Management, which is newly established. As St. John's Boosters, we have done that a lot for different vehicles, especially that they're parked along Lombard, or I've done that when there's been RVs parked near either James John or Roosevelt, in case of the school. Keep reporting that to PDX Reporter and PEMO, the more it will eventually get.
Yeah, so sorry, Brad and people on Zoom, the comment was echoing PDX Reporter and then also PEMO, which I'm blanking on what that stands for, but I do know that we work with them as well as the boosters.
Yeah, our safety and livability chair goes to the meetings with that organization, so that is something that potentially Ryan could flag at the PEMO meeting when meeting there. So that's also something I think to get in touch with Ryan, who should be still on the Zoom.
I am here. Brad, if you want to shoot me and shoot just me directly an email at thesalt@stjohnspdx.org, that's in the chat. I can let you know when the next PEMO meetings and everything are, and I can bring that up at PEMO.
Will do, Ryan. Thank you. And this is, when you say PEMO, this is PEMO, and that's Portland Emergency Management Organization.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, just to state on the record, because I know there are minutes and that this is not, you know, I've lived on this block for a decade. I've walked up and down Seneca to the park, to George Park over the years, and this is just, you know, just in the past year, it's become more of a concern, and it's not an issue of property value. It's not an issue of this is an eyesore. It's a safety issue. And it's frustrating that there are, you know, individuals in states of drug overdose that are halfway in the bush next to my house. And that has not happened until this RV is showing up. So I just wanted to put it out there that it's, you know, it's a real issue, and it is kind of caught in this PBOT pointing at the police department, police department pointing their finger at City Hall. PBOT has said that there's 2,000 people in front of you. The police department has said, well, if there is fentanyl use, then that's, you know, there's not really much we can do about that. And it's like, I just want to ride up and down the sidewalk with my kid on the skateboard. We all know that. So I guess I'm reaching out to neighbors, the community, there has to be an answer within this law structure that there's got to be a solution within there. So Ryan, I appreciate you hopping in there. I will IM you my contact, and I will plan to be in touch about the PEMO meeting and just exploring other options. To my neighbors who may be on here, let's all stay in touch. And you know, the things we can do as the weather gets out of winter is having barbecues outside on our driveway and just having visibility on the block. I just want to all encourage us that to just stay in touch and be a block within the community. So thank you for your time, and I'll go ahead and mute.
Thanks for joining, Brad. I appreciate it.
A neighbor did, so I can vouch where the thing was originally. I don't know if anybody knows, but there's a house that they're on Smith that the RV was originally parked in front of, given permission by the guy that's basically destroying the house. They quote renovating, and the whole, it's at the corner of Tyler and Smith, and we a pig spot. And it's been that way for 2 years. And I went and talked to him. I had one further relationship with him. And when RV pulled up, and he told me that the guy had gotten out, seen what a mess his house was, and figured, oh, he'll be okay with me parking in front. And that's what happened. He gave him permission to park in front. And I said, don't you care? And the guy said, I don't care. I don't care about anything. About the application issue. And I didn't say anything. I got pretty angry. You know, his style of place. And there, after that RV pulled up on Smith, there was a whole bunch of traffic. You know, the neighbors behind the pigsty house, they went out of town, and all their bins were filled with what they thought were stolen goods out of cars. They've been emptied out. And so it's a problem. And Brad, you know, get with me, and I'll be glad to, you know, hook up with you. I'll join forces to try to get something. It's bad. You know, there's no need. Huh?
It's
on Smith. He moved from Smith because they had moved primarily with a major thoroughfare or something, or something they moved. But then he just moved a block north. So all this activity and everything.
I can speak to that as well. I have more details after the speakers spoke.
So I do want to be mindful of time. We are already past our meeting time here, and we have a lot of other business to get through as well. So I would ask that if we could take this conversation afterwards in email and message so that we can finish our business this evening. I appreciate everybody's patience here, and so I'm sorry to cut you off there, Brad, but I do think we have to move on to get through Bernadine's treasurer report and whatnot here. Are you already in contact with Brad or?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. Great. Thank you. Appreciate the understanding, everybody. We're going to try to speed through our board updates here. We're only going to stop for the people who have them. So I'm just going to, Patrick, do you have a board update or?
I'll pass for now.
Okay. So then we'll go right to Bernadine and treasurer, and you can provide yours. And here, you can sit here and I'm gonna.
Okay, if you're here in person, hopefully you picked up a copy of the treasurer report. If you're not, thank you for being on Zoom, and you should be able to see it and stuff. And for those that can't see because you're on your phone and stuff, I will speak the treasurer's report. General checking account, December 10th, 2023 to January 7th, 2024. Our beginning balance was $12,696.09. We had no income and we had expenses for Nathaniel Hamilton. He did Safer Together data entry and filming. That was he was paid $87.36. That's out of the Safer Together grant that we had gotten. And we have MailChimp, January 3rd of 2024, $38.25 for our email web services. Total expenses, $125.61. For a balance as of yesterday, the 7th, $12,570.48. We have restricted the Metro grant. That's $3,085.60. The Metro grant, for those that don't know, is what helps us to cover expenses with our trash cleanups, our big dumpster day and that sort of stuff. Then our other restricted account, Safer Together grant, which covers our block parties and that sort of stuff. We have $4,808.93. We still have restricted from our Day of the Child event, a check to George Middle School of $65.65. We have unrestricted $4,610.30. I'm going to go on to the art fund. Same date range, started with $100.04. We have no income, no expenses. We have $100.04. Our bottle drop account, same date range. We started out with $343.50. We had bags dropped $52.70. So we had a good month. And we now have a balance of $396.20. Any questions on any of the three accounts?
Hearing none,
Not seeing any
one more
in
message.
person or Zoom?
What is the due date to close Safer Together funds? What is the due date to close Safer Together fund?
And
expensive for December 31st.
The final report is January 31st.
Yeah.
and then will those funds be returned?
Yeah, anything we don't spend, we probably, yeah.
Anything we didn't spend by December 31st will be returned. Got it. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thanks, Bernie.
Cool. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
got to take a vote to approve it.
Oh,
The charges for it.
all right. Do you have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Second? Second, great. All those in favor? Raise your hand there. Great. right, let's everybody in the room here.
Good.
Raise your hand if you approve of the treasurer's report on Zoom, please. Paul with the hand and thumbs up.
So,
It's north of.
yeah, that's
20.
north of 20, so, yep.
All right,
Perfect.
it is approved. Thank you, folks. Okay. Secretary, updates?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, just a quick. Safer Together is over. I'm just moved by the 30 people who hosted block parties, and thank you guys. It was really good experience, I think, for y'all and for me and everybody, and for all your guests. So thank you for doing that. But the block parties aren't over, and I don't think we'll call them Safer Together anymore because that was a grant from PBM. But well, I have some ideas. We'll see. I think in the way forward, we're going to do, we'll keep doing block parties, but they're going to be better because we bought this projector, we bought a movie screen so we could show movies outdoors, and I bought a popcorn machine out of the budget. So seriously, so we can do better block parties. Would be more flexible because we don't have the grant. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and very satisfying. And so the way forward, I think we're going to have a planning meeting in February. Start taking, have a sign-up sheet in March, start doing block parties in April or May when the weather's good. But we'll talk. Thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate it. All right, safety and livability. Ryan, do you have further updates?
No updates at this time. Didn't have my normal meetings because of the holidays.
Thank you very much. And land use, Brennan, any updates on your end? We haven't shared with the meeting. Did you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
My name is Brennan Scarlett, the land use chair. We received a couple of notices in December on the zoning code updates. One was for the land division, making it a simpler, more clear, straightforward process to divide lots that are allow for 5,000 square feet to be divided up into, I think it's 9 mini lots. And then the second notice was a more general just update on sourcing some community input on some proposed updates to the zoning code, and kind of the same message, was trying to make it a more simple and straightforward process to divide lots.
And did you want to share on?
yeah, there's just a brief one that I heard through the Portland Maps. There's a permit coming from the county for the former dollar store that they're looking to redevelop and turn into a 108 unit affordable housing complex. So that permit has been applied or been submitted, I guess more for like request for more information on Portland Maps, but as soon as we get a development notice, we'll bring it here. So just be thinking of that. Nothing immediate now, but any questions around that, yeah, as long as that continues to go forward, will be coming at some point in the next few months.
And there'll be opportunities for like feedback.
And yeah, everything. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And questions.
Outreach one, any further updates on?
Really quick, yeah. So Kim and I went to a lot of the businesses in Fessenden to tell them about the survey. We noticed that area didn't have as many responses as other areas of St. John's. So a lot of them were really great. People were really interested in it. We've been getting more responses from there, and just a reminder to everyone to answer the survey. There's a QR on the table over there, and also take a picture, share it with everyone you know that lives, works, or spends time here, and yeah.
Thanks, Owen. Yeah, that's a project we're going to be continuing to collect results into February. Our March general meeting will be the sort of big reveal of what we learned and talk about how we sort of move forward with what people suggested, thought of, where the questions, comments, and concerns are. So yes, take the survey if you haven't. It's on our website. There's QR codes here. We put the link in the chat, and make sure you come out in March to see what everybody thinks. finally, we have our at-large board members, which a quick. You should give a quick introduction, even if you don't have any updates. Sure. You do that.
How y'all doing? My name is Dominic Patel. I recently joined the board a month ago. I've been living in St. John's with my wife Elizabeth for about 2 years. So really just kind of wanted to be more involved in the community and understand the comings and goings of our neighborhood. I have no at-large updates currently, but I will get the stall cleanup January 20th, 9 to 11 p.m. So hopefully we'll see you all there.
Thank you. Thanks, Duncan. Is Jesse on Zoom?
A lot of people are dropping since we're over. So.
Yeah, he's not.
No.
So that means there's no more at-large updates, and that means we're going to go ahead and close the meeting here at 8:45 p.m. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for coming out, your thoughts, your involvement, and we hope to see you very soon. Have a great night, everybody.